You're listening to I Love This TV Show, The Golden Girls.
Hi, and welcome to the I Love This TV Show podcast. I'm your host, Noelle from pastasworld.com. Each season of this podcast will contain a TV show in full. This means the length of the season depends on the length of the TV show. The first season is, of course, The Golden Girls. The Golden Girls, Season 2, Episode 11, Twas the Nightmare Before Christmas. Blanche comes home and shouts out for each girl. When no one responds, she assumes that they are gone. She brings in a Santa called Ed. They head to her room. Moments later, Dorothy and Rose come home. Rose, why have you been so grouchy all day? Dorothy, I'm sorry, Rose. I guess I'm just sad because Christmas doesn't have any meaning anymore. It's gotten so commercial. Rose, how can you say that? Dorothy, oh please, Rose. The three wise men in the nativity scene at Burdine were wearing Ralph Lauren ski parkas. Their conversation is interrupted by Blanche running down the hall and into the living room, wearing Santa's beard and yelling, "Catch me, catch me, catch me!" She comes to a halt in front of Dorothy. The Santa is right behind her, minus the hat and beard, which Blanche has in her hands now. However, Rose is furious. Rose, we know who he is, Blanche. Santa, how could you? Blanche, Rose, this is Ed Kleckner. He's working part-time over at the mall. He's on his break. Rose, a Santa is never off duty, mister. As long as you're in that uniform, the only thing on your mind better be giving people what they want for Christmas. Dorothy, he was trying to, Rose. I saw Blanche's list. Rose, now get your cap, get your beard, and get moving. Rose sends the Santa back to work before Blanche got her Christmas gift from him. Rose gives him another lecture as she throws him out. Sophia returns asking about Santa. Blanche goes on about how Santa Clauses affect her and goes on to give a strange speech about Santa's winter and desire. Rose asks Sophia if she finished her Christmas shopping. Sophia complains about paying $89 for a doll for her granddaughter. Dorothy is taken aback as she has no idea where Sophia got that kind of money. Sophia reveals she charged all her gifts to a credit card she took from Dorothy's purse. Dorothy is livid. She insists she take back all the gifts. Sophia then starts to tell the girls what gifts she bought them to try and use guilt to not have to return them. She tells Dorothy to pay it off on time. Dorothy uses this as proof that the holiday is not what it used to be. Dorothy, how did you think I was going to pay for all of this? Sophia, on time. Loosen up the mousetrap a little. It's Christmas. Dorothy, you see what this holiday has become? You see, everybody thinks the best way to show someone you care is by going into debt. Where is the love? Where's the sharing? Where's the true spirit of Christmas? Sophia, Neiman Marcus, ladies' apparel, third floor. Dorothy's speech gets Blanche thinking about how much she spent on presents. It inspires Rose to have a little Christmas there with the girls before they all head home. She suggests they make gifts for each other from the heart. Everyone agrees but Sophia. It's now the night of their pre-Christmas celebration. They begin their gift exchange. Rose made a maple syrup spigot for Dorothy. Sophia tells Dorothy that Rose took back the pearl earrings she wanted. Blanche then hands out her gifts. She made the same thing for everyone. It's a calendar called The Men of Blanche's Boudoir. Dorothy comments on the Man of September, and Sophia on the Man of December. Blanche bounces around quite happily. They start to talk about Christmases in their hometowns. They decide to try and go to bed early to rest. Sophia decides to stay and admire the tree, so the rest decide to stay as well. Suddenly, Rose starts singing a carol, and right as the girls start to join in, she stops singing to tell the St. Olaf story. The other three run for their rooms. The next day, Rose is trying to help a man at the counseling center. She determines he needs professional help and refers him. She then calls another gentleman. The girls come in to get her, but wind up sitting and waiting. One patient stares at Dorothy to the point where she turns to him and says, "Hello." He just wants a match, which she gives him. He lights it right there and then just holds the match while it burns. He waxes poetic to Dorothy about the aspects of fire. Dorothy becomes concerned and inquires with Rose how much longer she will be. Another patient talks to Blanche. He tells her he has been disowned because he is an unsuccessful starving artist. Blanche gives him $20 for Christmas dinner. Rose finally comes over and tells the girls she is ready, but she chides Blanche for giving the man money, explaining he's a pathological liar who's also very wealthy. Blanche takes back her 20. As they are leaving, a Santa comes in. Before they can leave, he pulls out a gun and takes everyone hostage. Dorothy tries to give him her money. He refuses. He hasn't come to rob them. He wants to share Christmas with others, and with them specifically. Rose: "What's this all about, Santa?" "I came here because I wanted to share an old-fashioned Christmas with some other people." Blanche: "At gunpoint?" Santa: "Would you stay here and spend Christmas with me if I just asked you?" Blanche pauses several moments to think before finally responding, "No." Dorothy asks why he'd want to spend Christmas with a bunch of strangers. He tells them his Christmases have been rotten and lonely his whole life. He then asks everyone if they know Silent Night. Rose starts to worry they will miss their planes. Blanche comes up with a plan, but Dorothy is not interested. Blanche: "Listen, girls, I have an idea. Now I'm going to create a diversion by bending over and picking up something seductively. Then the two of you sneak up behind him and give him a karate chop." Dorothy: "Blanche, what do we look like? Charlie's Angels?" Blanche: "I have been told I bear a striking resemblance to Miss Cheryl Ladd, although my bosoms are perkier." Dorothy: "Not even if you were hanging upside down on a trapeze." Santa comes over and interrupts them. He's believing everything the pathological liar is telling him. He also shares that he used to be a patient there, and going there always cheered him up. Santa decides to give out presents now. Rose gets upset and gives the Santa a very stern and ticked-off lecture. Sophia comes in trying to find out where they are. Dorothy tells her Santa has a gun. Sophia pulls it right out of his hand and informs them it's a toy gun. Everyone is upset that they have been held hostage with a toy gun. Santa has a breakthrough, and so does the pathological liar. They finally get to the airport. They kiss and hug and wish each other a Merry Christmas. Then, the announcer says all flights are canceled until 6 a.m. tomorrow due to a storm. They all come back together. All four are upset about not being able to get their flights. The four wind up in a diner. They get coffee. Blanche tells them that she met George on Christmas Eve and then tells a long story. However, the story seems to have every man but George in it. Dorothy loses her patience. Dorothy: "Blanche, I could get herpes listening to this story. At what point in the evening did you finally meet George?" Blanche: "Well, I didn't meet George that Christmas Eve. That was the next Christmas Eve. But that was a boring story. I said I was going to tell you an exciting story." The diner owner brings out cheesecake for the ladies at no charge. They talk with him and tell him they aren't with their families either. He tells them he thought they were family the way they were talking. It cheers them up. Everyone wishes everyone Merry Christmas till Sophia gets annoyed. Rose says the man was so nice she wishes there was something they could do for him. It gives Dorothy an idea. She tells the owner that if he trusts them, they'll watch the place and he can go spend a few hours with his family. Sophia walks to the door after he leaves, and it's snowing in Miami. Rose goes to the jukebox to put on a Christmas song, but it's not a Christmas song. It's a Beach Boys song. I'll be right back after a short break. Favorite quotes. Blanche: "Now it's time to find out who's naughty or nice." Dorothy: "I guess I'm just sad because Christmas doesn't have any meaning anymore. It's just gotten so commercial." Rose: A Santa Claus is a never off duty. As long as you've got that suit on, you better be focused on giving people what they want for Christmas. Dorothy. He was trying to, Rose. I saw Blanche's list. Blanche. The sight of a Santa sets my body on fire with flaming desire. Dorothy. Blanche, what do we look like? Charlie's Angels? Blanche. He's been holding us hostage all this time with a toy gun. Dorothy. Blanche, I could get herpes listening to this story. What can you say about Blanche? She has quite a long list of fantasies. And the Santa Claus fantasy is the newest one we learn about in this episode. Dorothy and Rose's reaction's pretty priceless. Although it's also one of the only times I believe we see her run around in this episode. When Santa Ed is chasing her down the hall, and I assume they were going to run around the living room or maybe out onto the lanai. I was surprised that Dorothy didn't have some kind of comment about Blanche and all of her men. But I do agree with Dorothy about the commercialism of Christmas. It's like I'm recording this in 2020, and the show has just passed it's around its 25th anniversary, I believe, plus or minus a couple days of this podcast. And commercialism of Christmas does actually seem to have gotten even worse. It used to be you'd see Christmas decorations and stuff in the stores, and you start seeing, Christmas trees somewhere around Thanksgiving. And then it moved up to a little at the very beginning of November. And after a while, you would see Halloween stuff at the same time if you see Christmas stuff. But this last year in 2019, because my birthday is in the second half of September, and it was the very first time I went to the store. In this case, it was Walmart, because I just needed to pick something up. And there was already a whole section, and they had already started selling Christmas stuff. And it was not even October yet. It's just very demonstrative of how commercial Christmas has become. There's no longer, the true reason for the season. It's instead, let's get people to buy things and go into debt. I miss the fact that it used to be about caring and loving one another and the true spirit of Christmas. Now it's just about how much sales stores can rack up. Sad but true. Let's see, what else do we have? They are going home for Christmas, and they're all excited about going home for Christmas and seeing different family members. I know that Sophia and Dorothy are going to New York, but I'm not aware that Gloria lives in New York. I thought she lived in California. And I was under the impression that Phil lived in Florida. So I'm not sure who they're going to New York to spend Christmas with. Blanche is going to Hollingsworth Manor, so she'll see her siblings, cousins, etc. And Rose, I assume, is going to one of her daughters, or she's going back to Minnesota. But in another episode, we learned that before she moved to Miami, she sold the house she and Charlie had. So I'm not quite sure where exactly Rose is actually going. Oh boy, the Santa that kind of holds him hostage in the counseling center. Firstly, I am as confused as Sophia as to why no one realized that it was a toy gun. Secondly, it was beyond funny when Sophia walks in and she just grabs it by the barrel, takes it out of his hand. He just lets go. He doesn't hold on. He doesn't put up a fight, nothing else like that. But he does state that his happiest times have been at that center. So that is probably why he chose to randomly hold the people at the center hostage. I'm not sure what his gifts were. He did bring gifts, which was considerate. But at the same time, basically ruined all of their Christmas Eves by holding them hostage. I get a kick out of when he says, pretty much to Blanche, would you have stayed here if I had just asked you? And she has to really think about that because she has a thing for Santa Clauses. She finally says no, but I think originally she might have decided to say yes. But yes, the diner scene at the end, that is like one of my favorite scenes. Because there are a couple other Christmas episodes, but this one I especially love because they have only really thought of themselves as friends and housemates up to this point. And when the owner of the diner, Albert, says, "Oh, I thought you guys were family the way you were talking and getting along and stuff." That's really when they first have that realization that they do actually function and act like a family unit. And so I really liked that. And snow in Miami. I'm not sure if that's ever truly happened. Oh, but then the whole song that Rose picks on the jukebox is the wrong one, of course. It's not a Christmas song, it's the Beach Boys, Let's Go Surfing, which is fitting for Miami. I do wonder, though, if people would try to surf if it's snowing at the same time. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This TV Show podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.